Oh boy, I love it. F that. Country music star Brantley Gilbert gets tossed a Bud Light during concert and smashes it following the beer company's Dylan Mulvaney saga. Oh boy, it just won't go away. This morning, I was scrolling through Twitter and something funny happened. I got an advertisement for Budweiser. Now, the leftist media, the corporate press, they're trying to say over and over again that the boycott isn't working, it won't work, it's pointless, and everyone should just give up. They're claiming that all of these negative things that are happening aren't actually negative. And they're claiming also that white men just don't drink beer anymore, and so Budweiser has no choice but try and find new customers. Now, how can all of these narratives be true? They can't. What I find absolutely hilarious here is that they're simultaneously claiming that white men just don't drink beer anymore, and also Budweiser's stock is never better. So which is it? Is the company dying or is their stock skyrocketing? The reality is Budweiser was doing just fine. Their stock was doing really, really well. And then they spat in the face of their core demographic, their core audience. Now, a lot of us have deep concerns over the individual involved at the start of this boycott, Dylan Mulvaney, and the media is lying about why people are really upset. Now, they're upset for a variety of reasons, but the main narrative they want to go for is just because Dylan Mulvaney is trans. That's it. That's weird. There's no big Jack Daniels boycott. I mean, some people floated the idea saying, hey, well, you know, Jack Daniels sponsored RuPaul's Drag Race or something like that. And everyone went, no, we don't really care. Seriously. There's no conservative outrage for the most part about Jack Daniels. Or how about Yingling? I think Yingling might even be InBev. I'm not sure, which is like the same company. They merged or something like that. Miller Coors had Pride commercials. Nobody seems to care about that. It's almost like the media's lying about why people are really angry. I'll give you the simple version as we get into this morning's update on the boycott. Ron DeSantis is jumping into the fray, putting out a statement saying he's not going to drink that beer anymore either. Going to war with Disney as Disney prepares to launch their first ever Pride Night for kids. But why are people upset? I'll give you a couple simple reasons. Dylan Mulvaney is not transgender. And this has been stated by numerous trans people online. It's only the weirdo leftist activists in the corporate press trying to defend Dylan Mulvaney, whatever. Dylan Mulvaney is pretending to be trans for clicks, mocking and insulting trans people. You've heard me talk about it. I'll give you the gist of it later on if you want to hear me say it again. Maybe for those who don't know. And Dylan Mulvaney's targeting children. Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch gave beer to Dylan Mulvaney to market to children. So there's a bunch of stuff in there that pisses people off. But let me give you the latest updates and then talk about how the media is losing it. Oh, they're so mad. Here we go. Check this out. Country star Brantley Gilbert became the latest artist to protest Bud Light's partnership with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney. I can't help it. Is Dylan Mulvaney an activist or an influencer? Well, you tell me. By showing the beer company what he thought of their product at a concert this weekend. While performing at Indian Mountain ATV Park in Piedmont, Alabama, the multi-platinum singer was tossed a can of beer on stage. Gilbert gave up drinking in recent years, but he took a look at the beer and exclaimed, F that. And then he slams the beer on the ground before being tossed a different can of beer. He doesn't drink, so he tossed the other beer to a buddy and said, told him to shotgun it. I'll put it simply put. So this dude is a Trump supporter. He's a staunch conservative. He says, you ain't got hair on your ass if you don't shotgun that some I'm not going to say it. We'll keep it family friendly. Gilbert is notoriously conservative, having worn pro-Trump merchandise on tour and even leading his fans in an FJB chant at a 2021 show, according to the Daily Wire. He joins the likes of John Rich, Travis Tritt, and Kid Rock in the music community, appearing to boycott Bud Light. Well, hold on there a minute. John Rich had the most reasonable, or maybe reasonable. I think everyone's been reasonable on this, actually. But John Rich had the calmest. He just said, look, I got a honky tonk in downtown Nashville and people stopped buying the beer. If I can't move the product, I'm not going to reorder it. And that was like the most sane, logical, and capitalist response. He didn't come out and say, I can't believe they would do this. He just said, nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. And why would they? Why would they? I'm sure they've got some sales, but I'm willing to believe John's right. And in Nashville, a whole bunch of these conservatives are like, I'm not going to buy it. Because think about this. You go into a honky tonk, you're in MAGA country, right? What do you think is going to happen if you buy a Bud Light? Someone's going to look at you and they're like, what are you doing? Don't buy that stuff. And they're going to go to the bars and be like, what are you doing? Don't sell that stuff. We were in Austin, Texas. We did our live show on last Friday. And we noticed that there were Bud products. And I said something like, I'm going to tell everybody not to buy it. And then someone mentioned to me, like, we should probably just pull them from the event. And I was like, oh, yeah, good point. And I think they had like Michelob Ultra, Modelo, and Bud Light. And that was it. Modelo isn't necessarily it's not owned by Anheuser, I don't think, but Anheuser, I should clarify. Anheuser, I think, has like a 50% stake in the company or something like that. So I'm not entirely sure. Here we go. They want to mention that Budweiser released a new ad featuring Clydesdales. The 1-minute commercial features shots of the animal galloping across Western landscapes before making it to Lincoln Memorial in Brooklyn. And I saw this. We talked about it the other day. Here's him smashing the beer and it's exploding and sprays everywhere. But then people got mad at the ad. I think they have some quotes in here from people who are like, yo, this ad ain't going to do it. Here we go. One person said, my favorite advertisement by a mile was the Clydesdale after 9/11. It was absolute perfection. After your embrace of the trans agenda, glorifying a man looking for his 15 minutes of fame by mocking women, I will never buy, drink, or serve your beer again, wrote one user. Is the horse trans now? Wrote radio host Dan O'Donnell. Nope. You guys destroyed your own base and market because you had to go woke. I'll never drink any of your products again. Angela McArdle wrote, LOL, hard pivot, huh? Chair of the Libertarian Party. Commentator Philip Halloway wrote, don't look now, Anheuser-Busch and Budweiser, but the Clydesdale has already left the barn. Train has sailed. The ship has left the station. Bud Light and Budweiser are distinct brands housed under the same parent company. With a new ad, the latter, often called the King of Beers, appears to be stepping in to save the reputation of Bud Light. Bud Light's basically the same thing as Budweiser, right? It's like, that's why it's called Bud Light, right? It's like the diet version of Budweiser or whatever. So I love this. Fact check. Did Anheuser-Busch lose $4 billion amid Dylan Mulvaney issue? Uh-oh, here comes the fact check from Newsweek. And oh, true. Yep, true. Needs context. Let me break it down for you, my friends. Yesterday on The View, Whoopi Goldberg said, don't let them scare you. Let us scare you. Okay, let me explain something. You don't drink beer. You are not the beer drinking demographic. No, look, everybody drinks beer. I get it. But the core base, the reason why Anheuser-Busch put out a new commercial to Clydesdale, they're trying to recapture that 9/11 ad. It is laughably stupid. The CEO put out a non-statement faux apology of sorts, not a real apology, because they are reeling from this and they don't like it and it will not go away. It is the easiest culture war battle we have ever been faced with. So no, Whoopi Goldberg, I don't think you're going to scare them because for once you've got regular people who have joined behind a banner and they've said, we are not going to drink your beer. And it's so easy because Coors Light's available. Oh, what's that? Coors Light sponsored Pride Night and whatever. Nobody seems to care. That's strange. What is it about Dylan Mulvaney that has people so upset? Well, I can't speak for every single person, mind you, but I can show you this Vox article, which is absolutely hilarious. Trans influencer, they say, and they say it very simply. They were upset because Mulvaney is transgender. What a lie. Dylan Mulvaney is not transgender. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to come out and say it. Actually, I've said it like 18 times. For those of you that are new to this story and are wondering what exactly is going on and why people are mad, well, it's partially that Dylan Mulvaney is transgender, for sure. I'm not going to act like that's not true. There's a lot of people who are upset about that. But, or I should say because Dylan is perceived as being trans. Dylan's not. Dylan's not trans. So gender dysphoria, right? I've talked to, far be it from me to claim to be an expert. So maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'll tell you my opinion. Having had several trans people on this, on Timcast IRL, and having interviewed many, knowing many, they talk about gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is, what is prescribed, when a person is diagnosed, when a person is, you go to the doctor and they say, here's how I feel. They look in the mirror and they feel like their body doesn't align with their mental perception of what their body is supposed to be. Gender dysphoria. So I was talking to some people about Dylan Mulvaney, a gender dysphoric person who looks in the mirror and sees the wrong body, suffers dysphoria. That's what it means, right? There's euphoria, there's dysphoria. Dysphoria is an extreme state of anxiety or pain or emotional distress. They experience that when they perceive themselves as being in the wrong body, and it's constant and it's persistent. Dylan Mulvaney made a video saying it's okay to have a bulge, pointing to his junk. Someone with gender dysphoria would not want 10 million people to stare at their junk as they scream, it's fine that I have this thing. A person with gender dysphoria would be saying, like, I don't want to be seen that way. This doesn't feel right. At least that's how it's been described online, how it's been described in scientific journals, and how it's been described to me. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Granted, fair point. I'm not trans. I wouldn't necessarily know. But I do find it strange that Dylan Mulvaney would make a video screaming, women have bulges. Not kidding. Dylan Mulvaney did this. That is what pisses people off. That Dylan Mulvaney is perceivably pretending to be trans or a woman and just mocking and insulting them while trying to sell beer to children and spread this weird cult ideology to children. It's a variety of factors. I think I can actually simplify it, for everybody much, much more. Dylan Mulvaney is an extremely polarizing figure. That's the academic way to approach it. I can now approach it in a more colloquial understanding. Dylan Mulvaney is annoying AF. That's it. Some people probably like it. That's fine. But Dylan is extremely off-putting and annoying to a lot of people. That's why when the drag queen ad for Jack Daniels came out, people kind of went, okay, sure, yeah, I guess. With Bud Light, they were like, this person annoys me. That's probably the simplest. Nails on a chalkboard. That's Dylan Mulvaney. Ron DeSantis has joined the fray. DeSantis says Anheuser-Busch is too woke and has lost him as a customer. Why would you want to drink Bud Light? Oh, man. Florida Governor DeSantis encouraged people to continue boycotting Bud Light amid their promotion of trans personality Dylan Mulvaney. Again, I don't think Dylan Mulvaney is trans. I think Dylan Mulvaney, they should write in promotion of narcissistic sociopath. As he said, conservative consumers hold power to keep the company accountable. He also revealed his preferred alternative beer. During an interview Monday with political commentator Benny Johnson, DeSantis said he would not be drinking Bud Light anymore, as he did not wish to help enable woke companies and their goals of trying to change our country, trying to change policy, and trying to change the culture. He said, why would you want to drink Bud Light? I mean, honestly, that's like them rubbing our faces in it. And it's like these companies that do this, they never have any response. They're just going to keep doing it. I mean, that's a really good point. You know what's particularly offensive about this is that when people said, hey, look, we are mad you did this, Bud Light said, F you. They said nothing. They said literally nothing. They spat in the face of their customers and then said, we're going to ignore you because we think you'll go away. PR 101. PR companies say to all brands, if faced with a controversy, do not engage. Let it fizzle out. I got to tell you, I see on Friday they finally put a statement out. 2 weeks. They were freaking out because this thing persisted over the holiday weekend. That's not supposed to happen. It was supposed to go away. Our PR company told us if we did this, it'd be fine. You should have just apologized. Now they put a statement out on Friday. Weekend happens. I wake up first thing Monday and I'm like, hey, everybody, let's talk about Budweiser. Ron DeSantis wants to talk about Budweiser and Bud Light. Sorry, but whatever. Anheuser-Busch. The Republican governor suggested conservatives do not have to sit on the sidelines on the issue, but they have the power to hit the company where it hurts their bottom line. So if you as a consumer are like, yeah, they're doing that, but I'm just going to keep drinking it anyways, well, then they're going to keep doing it. So I think we have power as consumers to make our voice heard, and not on every company, because sometimes conservative consumers aren't going to make a dent in some companies. Well, I want to tell you something. While you may be boycotting this, there are a bunch of distributors who say they agree. They're like, oh yeah, I agree with this. But I've got to deal with Budweiser and Bud Light. I'm not gonna pull any of these products. So you just have to do the easiest thing you've ever done. Not buy it. Just buy a different beer. That's it. Just, a different beer. And my recommendation to everybody is if someone comes to you and says, we're going to go have a party, be like, I'll get the beers. I'll go buy the beers. And they'll be like, wow, that's really nice of you. Yeah, no problem. You buy Coors. And then maybe in a couple months of this, Bud Light will come out and be like, look, we get it. We are sorry. Let me ask you, Bud Light, who are you more concerned about? 18-year-olds complaining on the internet who don't drink your beer, or 35-year-old men who do drink beer, drink lots of it, and are mad at you? The fact that Budweiser is bending the knee to people who are not their customers, that's deeply offensive. So sure. You know where this all goes? I want to give DeSantis a shout out on this one. Don Jr. said to end the boycott. I like Don Jr. I met him recently. We had him. He called into the show to talk about the charges against his dad and other stuff. But he's wrong on this one. He said Anheuser-Busch actually donates a lot to Republicans, so we should lay off the boycott. No way. That's more of a reason to. You mean to tell me they need you so much they're paying you? Okay, let me break this down. Anheuser-Busch needs conservatives so badly they're actively paying the Republican candidates. Okay, well then why would they do this Dylan Mulvaney thing? More importantly, after they did and realized it was a mistake, that's what they claimed, that it was a rogue marketing employee who sent it out. Why not just say, we're sorry for the sponsorship. This was a marketing employee who took it upon themselves to send a product to different influencers. We did not realize it would be this divisive. It will not happen again. You have our word. I'd be like, wow, I'm going to go out and buy a case of a Bud Light right now, but they won't even do that because they're scared of Dylan Mulvaney more than they are of the people who buy their beer. Remarkable, isn't it? These people don't buy Bud Light. They don't know what March Madness is. You do. And they are saying they don't fear you. In fact, what Vox is even saying, what all of these outlets are saying is that boycotts don't matter. They say they're not going to be hurt like this. They're getting earned press, and that in the end, you are too stupid to keep this up. They say you are lazy and you are stupid and you're a useless eater. So shut your mouth and drink your garbage Mulvaney beer. That's what they're saying. Me? I don't drink beer, so I'm not going to drink it no matter what they do, no matter what they say. My question is for you, though. Right now, Ron DeSantis is in this battle with Disney. Disney doubles down, and they're going to be hosting Pride Night, where Mickey and Minnie will be dressed in rainbow costumes. Why is Disney, a children's venue, going to be having a sexuality-themed event? It's funny, isn't it? So Ron DeSantis says he's going to build a prison next to... Jeez, dude. DeSantis threatens to build a prison next to Disney as payback for trying to strip his powers. Florida governor ramps up Reedy Creek war and refuses to let corporate kingdom serve as its own government. I'm not going to get into all this. I'm just here to point out this is how these companies operate. If you do not push back, they will keep pushing forward. Do we need a sex-themed event at Disney? No, I don't think so. I don't care about Pride events. If you Pride parade, whatever, totally fine. I don't care about Pride nights or whatever. But why do we have a Pride month? You know what I mean? Like, I just find that to be strange. In June, all the icons are going to change to rainbows. I'll tell you what I think. My favorite conspiracy theory is that Democrats are secretly conservatives who hate their constituents. And so they're desperately trying to get them to sterilize their kids and abort their kids. Like, I said it last night, but if you went up to somebody and said, wow, you're really smart. Your politics are great. Have you considered not having children? Doesn't that sound like an insult? Doesn't it sound like you are saying something bad? Have you considered sterilizing yourself for your kids? Like, doesn't that sound like you hate them? It's weird. Republicans are coming out being like, don't sterilize your kids. And don't abort them. And Democrats be all like, you should. So I got to wonder about this. You know, I've said, I wonder why these conservatives try so hard to save the lives of Democrats. Because there's morals and principles behind their decision making. And Democrats, on the other hand, are telling their own constituents to abort their kids and to sterilize themselves with their kids. It's like, kind of think, you hate them. You don't like them. Sure, whatever. And then they want to indoctrinate more kids. So here's the thing. I think conservatives in the long run are going to win. But if Disney's going to go this route, you're probably going to have to boycott Disney as well. And like I said, I don't care all that much about the Pride events or anything like that. But why is Disney World or Disneyland or whatever this is, which one is it in Florida? I don't know. Why are they doing this? Why are they having a sex-themed night for kids? And they'll come out and they'll say stuff like love is love. No, spare me that lie, dude. You know, when you see videos of these pride parades and there's a dude walking around on all fours with a dog mask on, you're not telling me love is love. And I've seen this firsthand ever since I was a kid, because you go to these pride events and it's kink. It's kink events. You want to march down the street holding hands and saying you want to love each other. I got no problem with that. You know, shout out to Dave Rubin for having a family. I think it's fantastic. I think he'll be a better parent than 99% of people in this country. He's a smart guy, he's successful. But if you want to have a pride event and it's just a bunch of weird kink stuff, I'm not falling for it. They use this, in my opinion, they use the idea of love to push their weird kink agenda on kids. So I don't trust Disney doing this, and I think it's indoctrination. If you can keep your kids away from public schools and from all of this stuff, 20 years from now, this country will be deep red. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, it will still be like blue and red because there'll be Democrats, but the Democratic Party will shift heavily towards the right. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on the channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.